In this video we rack up more species for our big year, we see a mega rare duck, we go to the tip and we find a lifer that's very special to me. Following a reasonably trouble-free journey, we arrived at the Travel Lodge in Somerset. Hey folks, welcome back to Backyard Aviary Adventures. We are as tired as we look. We've just driven from home in North Wales down to Somerset. We're in the Travel Lodge again, but hopefully this might be the last time we have to do this, because pretty soon we've got a mechanic coming to have a look at the van. So fingers crossed. Anyway, we're here for a couple of species, first being a real mega, a bird we have seen once before, but it was amazing, which was a Baikal Teal. Last time it was at quite a distance, I'm hoping to see it a little bit better tomorrow, hopefully. And also our second bird we're aiming for is a Cirl Bunting, it'll be a lifer for us. I'm really looking forward to that. Anyway, hopefully there'll be extras as well, so join us for this adventure. We woke up early and took a half-an-hour drive up to RSPB Grey Lake. Morning folks, we're at RSPB Grey Lake in the hope that we'll find a mega duck, a Baikal Teal. We did see one last year, we were really lucky.
We were very lucky.
Which is just a nuts amazing bird, but weirdly there's another one turned up in the UK. It could even be the same bird, who's to say, but let's go and see if we can find it. It was a short walk round to the hide where the Baikal Teal had been seen. It was a pretty walk as the sun was coming up, and as we arrived at the hide there were lots of people looking over a marshy scrape area. It was extremely lively with birds, mostly which were waterfowl, with an abundance of teal and widgeon. There were also some other ducks closer in, like this shoveler, and a little bit further out a few swans, like this very handsome swan that was preening. There were plenty of birders there, and somebody had already picked out the Baikal Teal, but it wasn't showing well at all. You can kind of see it in this picture, the little feathers, its tertials coming off the back, but much of the bird was hidden by other birds and reeds. We sat there amongst all the other birders, waiting and hoping for the Baikal Teal to lift its head up and show, but nothing. Whilst we were waiting, one of the other friendly birders pointed out in the very far distance a pair of common crane, which, until our previous video, we'd never seen one before. Now, we've had them in 2 consecutive videos. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Its head's up!" But it didn't last for long. The duck lifted its head up, moved a little, and then sat back down in an even more obscured position. But suddenly, everything was spooked. Everything lifted and we had to find the Baikal Teal again through all the widgeon and teal, and in this picture, if you notice by the shore, a snipe. It didn't take long for someone to spot the Baikal Teal that moved to the right on the edge of a muddy channel, but they were spooked once again. Luckily though, this time the Baikal Teal landed very close to where it was previously and began preening. It preened and preened and preened and preened for a long time. Luckily this meant the bird stayed in one specific place, giving all the very grateful birders a reasonable view. This species is an extremely rare visitor to the UK, with only about a dozen accepted records here. Its usual breeding ground being in northern Russia and Siberia, and then wintering in China and Japan. We were lucky enough to see one of these species last year in Wales, and it is reasonably likely that this individual is the same one we previously saw. Regardless, it was wonderful seeing such a beautiful duck that's so rare in the country. What a privilege. We even bumped into one of our subscribers, Steve Carey, who's got his own bird photography blog. Tell us what it is, Steve.
Steve Carey Bird Photography.
Check it out. Thanks, Steve, it was lovely to meet you and have a chat. Now it was time to move on. Hey folks, we've just seen the Baikal Teal. Some really good views, got to see some of our subscribers. Really cool bunch there, very helpful lot, pointing out where birds are and whatnot. road, sorry. Sorry about that. We're heading now to see some Cirl buntings, hopefully. Stay with us. Before long, we arrived by the sea. Hey folks, we're in Stolford. I'm hoping to find
Cirl bunting.
a group of Cirl buntings that have been here for a few days. Male, females. That'd be great. We dipped on that in the past at Labrador Bay, so we're returning to try and find more Cirl buntings. Let's do it, stick with us. Oh, this is a really pretty place. Look at that in front of us. We walked up onto a bank that was overlooking the sea on one side and some farmland on the other. Apparently, along this path a little further on, there had been a mix of buntings coming down to seed, including the Cirl bunting. When we got closer, we spotted some other birders who were looking at a female Cirl bunting that was on the path. Unfortunately, before long, this bird left, so we waited for more birds. After a while, a robin came out to check the scene. Once the robin started eating, some more birds came out as well, mostly reed buntings and some of the female Cirl buntings. But it was the male I was looking for. Well, let me tell you why. When I was a child, a family friend, Malcolm, he was a local birder. He looked after one of the local nature reserves and the young ornithologist group. He was an extremely patient guy, inspiring and encouraging all the young birders, including myself. Once, when Malcolm went on holiday, he sent me a postcard that read, "Saw the Cirl bunting in the car park, lifer." I can visualise that memory now, and it's stuck with me all this time. Malcolm unfortunately has now passed, but that memory has remained, and since I've wanted to see a Cirl bunting. And soon our patience paid off. The male Cirl bunting joined the group. Although this is a British breeding species, they have a reasonably small range and usually remain local to that area. This is an incredibly handsome bunting with yellow and black face patterns and a lovely green chest. It remained feeding with the other buntings for quite a while. As we were about to leave, I turned round and bumped into some other subscribers. Jeff and Kay, a lovely couple who we chatted to for a while. Jeff has his own YouTube channel under his name Jeff Hazel, but now it was time to move on to another bird, one we'd failed to see in the past. Hey folks, we're at the Cirl bunting. There's a few birders with us as well, and there's Kaylee. We got the Cirl bunting. We had to wait a little bit, it's a bit windy, you can hear, but we got it, and that is a lifer. And the boy, yeah, we got the boy as well. It was amongst some reed buntings and other birds feeding on the path, but stunning, and that's a lifer. So next we're going to go to Burnham-on-Sea to try and find a Kentish plover. It was a reasonably brief drive to Burnham-on-Sea. When we arrived, it was just past high tide and the tide was slowly moving out. Unfortunately, this meant all the birds were across on an island in the estuary at quite a distance. Hey folks, at Burnham-on-Sea, Kaylee's a bit in front of me with a couple of other birders looking for this Kentish plover. They're looking over a really long distance away and just a massive expanse of kind of mud flats. It's a bit of a needle in a haystack, this one. Let's see what we find. I'm not holding out too much hope, I'm afraid, but let's keep on looking. Kaylee and the other birders scanned for quite some time, but couldn't pick out the Kentish plover. We did have a quite noisy flyover by a raven. This poor bird was receiving quite a hard time off some of the gulls. It eventually landed on the mud in front of us and had a bit of a peck around. As entertaining as this raven was, we were here to look for the Kentish plover. But after long and thorough scanning, the only birds we could pick out for our year list was this large group of avocet. As we were about to leave, a few waders flew in, but generally just redshank like this individual. A little disappointed by failing to see this bird for a second time, we headed to Cheddar Reservoir to look for some greater Scaup. Hey, it's a bit windier now,
Very.
a bit breezier. We're a bit exposed here. This is Cheddar Reservoir. It's basically like a concrete bowl with water in it.
Somebody said that to us earlier on.
Yeah, they were so right. We're walking around to see if we can find these Scaup that we're after. This may be one of our last birds of the day, so stick with us. We'll continue tomorrow if it is. It was reasonably late afternoon when we arrived and quite blustery, but there were plenty of ducks, most of which were in the distance, although there was this pochard that was close. We headed towards the raft of water birds ahead of us. As we got closer, we noticed most of these birds were coots. There were dozens of them. So we had to search through the coots to find the ducks. Some of the ducks that were close in included these tufted ducks, which are one of our commoner ducks in the UK. Very clean looking black and white birds with a crest. A little further on I noticed quite a few great crested grebe. Many of them were youngsters, but I did pick out a couple of adults like this stunning looking individual. Finally, towards the end of the raft of ducks, I found a group that weren't tufted ducks. These were the greater Scaup. The males looking particularly striking with their dark green heads, white sides and grey backs, and the females a little duller but brown with white bases to the beak. All the birds looked really clean and gave us great views coming really close to the bank. This was an excellent way to finish our birding for the day, so we walked back along the reservoir towards the car, watching all the windsurfers on the reservoir. Although this was the end of our birding for the day, we had one last stop. We headed to Portishead to get a chippy dinner. When we arrived, it was blowing an absolute gale, but regardless, as stupid as I am, I thought I'd have a quick walk, leaving Kaylee trying to shelter by one of the local monuments. There weren't many birds around here. There was a curlew on the beach and some gulls flying around hoping for scraps. We settled down to eat overlooking the sea on one side and a pond on the other. Along the edges of the pond there was a pied wagtail, and on the pond itself there was a few birds, again probably looking for scraps, like these Canada geese. And swimming towards the edge with the mollards there was a white domestic duck. It was now getting dark though, and it was time for us to head to our overnight destination. Hey folks, today was pretty good. We missed the Kentish plover, but we did get the amazing mega Baikal Teal. We got super views of a few Cirl buntings, including a really stunning male. And great Scaup. We had really good view, excellent views of the great Scaup. We ended the day with a nice portion of fish and chips on the front at Portishead.
Because the sun went down, it was lovely.
It was very nice. Tomorrow we're going to go and try and find some gulls that we are missing off our list. Little gull hopefully, and Glaucous Gull hopefully, and maybe some other birds. So join us, that should be fun. See you in the morning. The following morning, we decided on a big breakfast. Look at that. Travelodge breakfast. Although the Travelodges have been useful while our van's been broken, this one looked a bit like something out of The Shining. So this called for a speedy exit, and we headed on our way to our first stop, Frampton-on-Sea. Good morning. We're at a place called Frampton-on-Sea, where we're looking for little gull, which is a gull we need to put on our year list. We're trying to almost complete our gull year list today, because after this we're going to go for a Glaucous Gull. So, fingers crossed. Keep with us. The little gull we were looking for had been spotted the previous day on a pontoon on the local boating lake. When we got within view of the pontoon, there was no little gull. There was plenty of black-headed gulls, and on the opposite side there was another pontoon with more black-headed gulls, but no little gull. There was another bird there, and he walked off in the direction of a local field thinking it had landed there. Whilst I was mid-sentence explaining to Kaylee that she was looking for a small gull with black on the wings, she said, "Like that one that's just flown in." And lo and behold, the little gull showed up on the pontoon. This individual is a youngster, a first winter bird. These birds don't breed in the UK, with the nearest breeding colony being Norway, and they usually show up on passage. Guess what Kaylee just spotted? She spotted the little gull. Well, we got here and it wasn't here, and another bird has turned up, and
He couldn't see it.
He couldn't see it, so we went wandering off, and as soon as he went, boom. Kaylee saw it, it landed on the, like, pontoony kind of thing. So, that's cool. First winter little gull. Another one to tick off our list. Brilliant. Now on to the next gull. Now it was time to find our second gull of the day. Hey folks,
We'll buy a tip.
We'll buy a tip, yeah, by Throxmorton Tip in Worcestershire. The last couple of days there's been a Glaucous Gull seen here, which I thought might be our last gull for the year, but it isn't.
Caspian.
We've got to get Caspian gull. Anyway, yeah, let's try and find it. Apparently it's going to be a bit of a task and we're limited for time, but we're going to try and find it anyway. We've just had a scan in the field opposite and it's not there, so we're going down a public footpath hoping we can get a view of the landfill, because sometimes it's there. So stick with us, let's see if we can find it. After scanning a load of gulls in a field, we walked along the public footpath through a little wooded area to a viewpoint where we could see the landfill site. Most of the birds on the landfill were corvids, crows and such. There were a couple of red kites circling round, but only a small handful of gulls, and these were all herring gulls. So we headed back to the field from the other direction, hoping to get a slightly different view. We scanned the gulls, and pretty soon... What are you watching, Kaylee?
Glaucous Gull.
What is it?
It's a lifer.
Whee! The Glaucous Gull was obvious. A huge gull, not quite as big as a greater blackback, but not far off. Really pale, no wingtips, with some pale brown markings. This species breeds in the Arctic Circle and moves south in winter, with Britain being about the extent of its southern range. And although a reasonably regular visitor on passage, the numbers are still quite small. As we were leaving, we heard some sound from near the car. We looked over the fence to see some skylark singing and displaying over a field. This is called parachuting, where they fly up and gradually descend while singing. It was great getting these two gulls, but the day wasn't over yet. Hey folks, it's kind of breezy.
Lovely place though.
It's lovely here. I think I've seen the Great Northern Diver that I'm after, at a distance, although quite a distance. So we're going to walk round and see if we can get views of what I thought I've seen. We set about walking round Chasewater, trying to get closer to the birds that I'd seen that I thought were the Great Northern Divers, passing some regular species on the way, like tufted duck, mallard and Canada geese. As we walked round the reservoir, there was vegetation with occasional breaks in it where you could see onto the reservoir. A little bit further on, I did spot this little grebe. It appeared to be a young individual that was fishing. A little bit further on, we stopped to scan and saw this great crested grebe that was feeding. It was being pretty optimistic, looking at the size of the fish it had, but it carried on trying to swallow it. A little further up the path, we spotted something else that had a pretty ambitious appetite. It was the Great Northern Diver we were looking for, and we soon found there wasn't only one, but two of them there, diving under. At one point, Kaylee saw them displaying to each other. This species are winter visitors and will turn up almost anywhere, either inland or coastal waters. Feeling pleased with another success, we headed back towards the car, passing this extremely confiding great crested grebe en route, and then passing the pontoon that was covered in roosting lapwings. Just before we got to the car, I noticed a small raft of ducks, and this was a group of goldeneye. These stunning little ducks were diving under and coming back up. There was a group of mixed males and females. This species so far has been a regular in our videos this year, which is great because it's one of my favourite ducks. As I walked on the path to the car, I had to stop to let this moorhen walk past. Chasewater is really good. Really nice place, great for kids, great for fun. Loads of people walking around, walking dogs.
We're bringing Emily May here.
Yeah, I think we'll be bringing the kids here. Ultimately, we got the Great Northern Diver. which was we got 2 of them, and they were like feeding together. I couldn't get both of them on film together, but we saw them.
One was displaying to the other, but you didn't get it on film.
I didn't get it on film, no, but I saw both of them, and they were at a bit of a distance, but it was really nice to see. And I think it's only the 3rd or 4th one I've seen, the 2nd one you've seen, so that's really cool. We also got a load of other birds, not many new ones, but I got great views of goldeneye and all sorts of other ducks and geese, and we did get little grebe, which is new for the list.
As we weren't too far away from home, we had just enough time for one last small stop.
Hi folks, we took one last stop on the way home, near where Kaylee's from, in Battlefield near Shrewsbury. The farm shop there had a collection of cattle egrets who'd flown in. Apparently there were 7, although we only saw 4, but great, that's another bird for our year list. Ace.
Although there was apparently 7 cattle egret here, we spotted 4 that were wandering around in a field behind the farm shop, and a lovely last bird for this weekend.
Where are we going?
Home.
We are going home.
This weekend had been excellent, not only seeing some really exciting bird species, but also meeting so many lovely people in the birding community, and also all the people who watch our channel. Thank you so much for your support.
Please like,
Please subscribe.
and please press the notification bell. See you soon.
Bye.